celebrating success, learning from legends, and growing poppies. This is Tall Poppy Talk with Grace Lewis. Kia ora and welcome to Tall Poppy Talk. Today we have Cyril Riley. He is a producer and one of Australia's fastest growing artists with well over 8 million monthly listeners on Spotify alone and counting. His record Stumblin In is making global waves and features in some of the biggest playlists, including Hot Hits Australia, Hot Hits Deutschland, and topping the ARIA Australia singles charts. We're just getting started. His online presence is substantial with well over, I think yesterday it was 510,000 followers. It's probably more today on TikTok. And that's due in large part to his prolific pace of dropping these iconic remixes, and also in large part due to his brilliant personality that people easily engage with. He's been on tour recently in Europe, and he has a lineup of festival slots already booked in for 2024. He's a tall poppy, and he's on an absolute mission. He has landed in the pages of Forbes as they recently wrote about his official remix of the Grammy-nominated band Disturbed's iconic Sound of Silence. Last I checked, that landed at number 34 on the Billboard's US Hot Dance electronic chart and the Billboard song sales chart. 6 months ago, he didn't have a passport, and now he's topping charts all over the world through the sound waves with Spinninrecords, his label. What an absolute pleasure, Cyril. Welcome to Tall Poppy Talk. Where and how are you today?
That was beautiful, Grace. I'm really good, and I'm in Darwin.
And for those listeners, we've got some people all over the place. Where is Darwin? Obviously Australia, but if they looked at a map, where are you popping up?
Top end. I think that's what everyone says, just the top end. Did you know that Antarctica from Melbourne is closer? Melbourne is closer to the Antarctic than it is to Darwin.
I mean, no, because I'm not up
By
with the
20
facts,
kilometers.
but so what we're painting the picture there for listeners is like Darwin's a little bit off the map, perhaps.
Just a little bit. But it's nice. It's just chill. It's good. It's good that I don't really do much work up here. I've got a few festivals up here, but I tour and then I get to come back and with the family and stuff and just, yeah, it's just chill vibes. It's good.
And you mentioned obviously you're chilling now, but you've been on the move. Where have you been in the last couple months?
Oh, it's been like 2 days ago I was in Perth, and then 3 days ago I was in Adelaide, and then a week and a half ago I was in Germany, Paris, and Amsterdam, and Doha. I was only at the airport in Doha. Probably doesn't even count, to be honest, but yeah, I was there. And then I've been in Melbourne. I head back to Melbourne this Thursday, and then I go to Sydney, I think. No, I go to Brisbane. And then and then I think I'm in Sydney, and then I think I'm in New Zealand as well in June, I believe, and then back off to Europe for the summer.
That's just epic, and I know New Zealand's going to be stoked to get you because the festival scene's obviously pretty enticing, but I mean, as is Europe, is there a place that you're super keen to get and perform?
Honestly, I cannot wait to come to New Zealand. I've been waiting because New Zealand was the first place I sort of cracked the code. I started New Zealand was the first place that supported my music, so to come over there would be excellent. And the landscape looks bloody beautiful. I want to check out the mountains and all the snow and stuff. Hopefully I get enough time to go out to the outback of New Zealand and check it out. I like the outback of places, to be honest with you.
So that's interesting, and I want to dive in there, right, is producer, and there's a distinction between DJ and producer. What is that?
I think a DJ is the one that will mix the music, and if you're solely a DJ, that person is sort of like a radio host, except it's live. It's sort of like you go and play and promote other people's music in a club, and hype up the crowd with that music, and it's an important job as well. If you look at Carl Cox, he could DJ. He had a residency for years. I think it was I can't remember what it was, but it was he'd do a 10-hour set, and to the day he retired from that, he was known as the world's best house DJ. So there's that in itself where it's like you don't make music, but you Carl Cox does make music, but there's certain DJs that won't make music and just play the music and hype the crowd up in clubs. And then you've got a producer, which is you can have a producer that just produces songs and doesn't really tour or have an artist profile, but will like work on a song for a singer and make royalties off that song, or you've got a producer slash artist slash DJ, I suppose, which is like what I am, sort of thing, where I DJ and produce music, plus I play instruments. So I don't really call myself well, I am a producer, but if someone asks, I just say an artist.
I like that. And sometimes I interview athletes and I call them an athlete because, much like you, they cross so many disciplines and you can't kind of define it to that one producer. A big question, but when did you get into music and how have you picked up those instruments and tools as you go?
Oh man, I started playing when I was like 2 years old. I got a guitar off my mum and dad. They brought me like a little guitar, and I showed a huge interest in that. I used to when I was like a little baby, just starting to walk or crawl, Rage would come on, Rage. So I'd yeah, go just bounce around to that, and mum always told me like she knew that I had an interest in music. Wasn't sure what it was, but yeah, I started playing guitar when I was like 2, and then by the age of 7, I was like playing it pretty well, and I started playing drums, piano, and then a little bit later, I picked up bass guitar because one of my dad's good friends played the bass guitar, so he taught me how to play that, which really helped me learn where the notes are and stuff on the guitar more than just play the chords. So it was yeah, it was good. I used to play drums most of all. I love the drums because they're just loud. I really like loud things, I think. So I'd yeah, spend 12 hours of the day. I wouldn't go to school much. And when I went to school, my high school teacher would write me a note, and I wouldn't go to English or maths or science or anything. I have no life skills, by the way. I barely can drive, so I just yeah, I just sat in the music room all day long. I'd teach kids. I'd be in year 8 and I'd be teaching year 11 how to play, drums or yeah, and then in the school when I was about 12, or I think I might have been 12 or 13, I started really diving into the computer and learning how to make sounds and stuff like that.
Was it one particular teacher, do you recall, who was like, this kid, we're wasting his time with English and math, like he's going to be a muser, he's going to be an artist? Was it just the one?
Yeah, it was my music teacher, Mr. Miller. He was a crazy man too. He was a bit of a nutcase, but I absolutely respect him with 100%. Yeah, he was the number one factor at school that got me through. Well, school had as it was. I really hated school. I didn't really care about. I failed everything. But in music I'd always get over 90%. So it was sort of like, no one really questioned why I was always in the music room because I just didn't really care. And if I was in a class and I had to be in that class, I was an absolute shit of a kid.
So keep you in the music room. Well, clearly now, and that's why we're speaking, is it's paid like dividends or whatever the saying is, like you're making significant impact with it. And it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, of course everything came through and there's this linear line. And that
Yeah.
makes sense. But something I'm really fascinated on is like the value of patience and persistence and grinding away at something, because it's mad easy to be like, oh, of course Cyril's here. He was always going to be there. But were there times more recently where you're like, oh shit, this is actually the thing I've wanted is happening now?
I think I always just yeah manifested in bed. Like I think it's really hard to pinpoint because I always felt like I was already there, if you know what I mean. Even without the, success or the radio interviews, I already felt like I was there because I could produce, and I felt like I was an artist because, I have a residency at a club, and I'd make an edit and I'd play that in the club. It was never about, and it's never been about trying to get the best views and stuff like that. It was always just, I love what I do. I feel like an artist. I am an artist, and no one can tell me different. So I think in that, and then as a kid when I couldn't play in a club or when I was just starting to play in clubs and stuff, or I'd go to a festival and I was picking up garbage to try to be in the festival, like I'd work for the festival and pick up garbage, or I'd help out with the stage and stuff. It was like I'd get home, I'd put in headphones, and I'd just lay there imagining myself on that stage, playing in front of them people that I'd just seen, and I'd get sweaty. I'd get nervous. So it was like a really nice feeling, and I yeah, obviously now taking on the career full time, not working anywhere else, and just solely being an artist, it's a lot different. But doesn't surprise me. If like I know that sounds like really dicky, but it's like I I was like always in my goal and always in my mind that I'm already there. So when it happened, it was like, yeah, I did it. You know, I was like I was always in the mindset of I'm going to do it. I'm going to get there. Um, and I'm going to try my hardest doing it. So I think even if a song didn't blow up, I think I'd be 40 years old still doing what I was doing when I was 27 years old.
That almost needs to sit and like marinate for a second. I don't know if I want to call that like confidence or a knowing, whatever it is that you have. It's pretty admirable. Is that like a nature or nurture?
I think I was just born for music. Honestly, I didn't know, I don't know anything else. Like, I've had trades, I've worked as a baker, and I just sucked at everything. So I was like, the only thing I'm good at is sitting at a laptop or, playing for a crowd. So, yeah, it's like now it feels really good now because it's like, I've done the hard yards for 15 years to try to get to this point, and now when I'm in the studio, it just feels like, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
So you mentioned today before we started recording that you're doing so many interviews. This is one of literally a string. Do you feel antsy? Like, oh, I could be doing something. Like, obviously, it's good to talk to people, but do you feel this need of like, I want to be making music? Is that like, I know that's a really
Um,
roundabout way of asking it, but yeah, how do you
I
feel?
think, well, at the start when I first done the interviews, I'm like, no, actually, no. I've always thought like since doing the interviews, I'm like, this is a part of the journey. So to me, I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing today. If you know what I mean. Like, I'll finish this interview and I'll be straight into, making songs and then this afternoon when I've got more radio interviews, it's like this is a part of the journey, I feel like it's so important to talk to people and now it's sort of like I've started a good journey. I want people to feel inspired. I want people to know that, they can reach out to me anytime they want because I like to teach. I like to inspire. And I think this is completely a part of the journey, and I feel good about doing anything I'm doing, to be honest.
Well, such kudos too, because when I first messaged you, you were literally, I want to say, in Amsterdam or about to go out in Berlin or something like this. And I've, you know, shamelessly, as one does, like send Cyril this message thinking like, oh, odds he reads this is low, but got to give it a go. And pretty quick, it's like, hey, Grace, like super positive, reach out to, so and so.
Mm.
And off we are. And then a couple of weeks later, we're having this conversation. So the fact that you are still able or keeping on top of that connection you have with like your fans
Mm.
is awesome. Is that getting harder as maybe like the fan base grows?
It is. It is definitely getting harder, but I try to put it in my day to day to try to get back to as many people as I can, and I'll have 200 requests in my inbox, and I'll try to get to every single one of them, and then 10 minutes later it's back up to 200 now. So that's it's getting a lot harder, but I try. I'm trying my best. It's but it is getting a lot harder than it was even 2 weeks ago. So yeah, every day is going stronger, but yeah, I'm trying to hire some people to sort of look after my socials and sort of, basically run it past me, be like, oh, this person messaged, yeah, sweet, no worries, and then, keep the flow going because I want everyone to be replied to and heard. Everyone deserves a reply really because, if I didn't have anyone following me or messaging me, then still be making music, but, I wouldn't be on here. So,
Yeah, there'd be less ears potentially on it. I actually listened to you were on Kyle and Jackie O, which if you don't know is like a huge Australian radio station. And you talked about how your handle, it's it's your boy Sis, is that it? You can't
yeah.
change it.
I can't now because of the meta profile. It's I tried to change it a few weeks. Well, I wanted to change it at the start, and me and Luke were like, Luke messaged me like, why is it Issy Boy Says we should change it to like something that fits into, everything else. I'm like, yeah, no, I tried to change it, didn't work, and now everyone I've got too many followers and stuff. If I change it now, I'm gonna get lost in the algorithms. It's just Itsy Boy Says now. That's what I got to live with.
But like, what would you change it to?
I don't know. I like Itsy Boy Says. It's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, what got you here is going to keep you going. I think that's It is iconic. To change wheels a little bit, because this is important and I want to paint a larger picture. You're clearly an artist. We've really honed in on that. But if we were to describe, like if you were to describe yourself and we excluded that word, artist, what are the other traits? What else is going on?
Oh, mate. I'm a father. I've got a 6-month-old son. I've got a fiance. Honestly, I don't know what else I am. I think any spare time in the studio. I like to crack a joke when I can. Yeah, I like to eat lots of food. Got to get back to the gym actually. Speaking of that, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just. I like to go fishing. I'm a country boy. I really like to go fishing when I can. Go for a beer and sit in the studio.
Wicked. Also, congrats, new father. That's pretty cool. You must be
Yeah.
tired on top of everything.
Honestly, I've got the best missus in the world. She looks after MJ when I'm tired, and yeah, we've got a pretty good lifestyle of like she'll get up when I get up, and I'll go into work, and she goes with the baby and MJ, and then yeah, in the afternoon I'll take MJ, and it's good. It's just it's a good flow. I think but I think I work too much. But
But you're also working to create something, so there's no like work-life balance because you are living and breathing the thing that you're doing. So I think that's kind
yeah.
of tricky. Your son, does he enjoy the remixes? Is it like a calming sleep
No,
lullaby?
sometimes he'll get into it. It's not very calming, but he'll be laughing and giggling and stuff. And I'll bring him. He loves the lights, so I've got like lights around my studio for the videos and stuff, and aesthetic really, so it feels nice in here. But yeah, he'll like just stare at the lights. I play music, and he's just yeah, absolutely just mesmerized by everything in this studio. I don't know what it is. It's pretty messy all the times, but yeah, he's a little legend. It's been good though. I think before me and my missus had the talk like got completely together, we had the talk of, hey, I'm probably going to tour, probably going to work a lot. If you can accept that, then we can sort of be together. But and that was before anything happened. It was like I was just managing a venue. So yeah, we always had that good chat, and yeah, it all worked out. So it's good.
Oh, that's wicked. Having that support system around you, I can imagine it gives you that extra oomph when you're doing what you're doing. Like, almost like I can't wait to go home and yeah, like spin a yarn about what I've been up to. It's an
Yeah,
extra
100%.
motivator. Kind of like centering back to what my podcast is really about, like discussing this concept of tall poppy syndrome and maybe people's interactions with it, not to harp on about like the negative elements of it because they are there, but more to focus on celebrating people's success and like what's going well and maybe learning from that. So
Yeah,
firstly, are you familiar with the term tall poppy syndrome?
yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with the negativity of tall poppy syndrome, more or less.
How would you describe tall poppy syndrome? And secondly, like how have you experienced it?
In the negative or positive way?
Both.
I think the negative way, if you're an egotistical prick, is it okay if I swear on this?
Yeah,
Or
100%. Yes.
so if you're an egotistical prick, then you're a negative tall poppy sort of dude. If you're not grounded, you treat people like shit, and you think you're absolute top tier shit, that's negative. I think that's how an artist can just drop down and have no career. And some people make it, but you won't have a long career because you talk to people all the time. If you're a negative sort of guy and don't give people the time of day, I think that's where that can be negative. But I think on the positive side, I think of like learning about tall poppy syndrome and stuff. I think it's like you can learn to inspire people by being a grounded no ego, grounded, completely yourself, just you know have something good happening in your life but not changing anything about yourself. I think that's where it can be a good thing.
I really enjoy that response. For you, as you grow and as more you get more listenership and clearly have a real like strong presence on social media, part of that tall poppy too is like negative comments. Like we have keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no matter how brilliant you are, those for whatever reason people don't have better things to do, might come through. Do you engage with any negative comments at all, or is it more about the positive?
100% on negative. I always engage with any sort of comment as much as I can. Sometimes if I can see it's just someone trying to get likes off, a current post I've just put out, and you can see that it's like a string of negative comments throughout, 20 videos, and I won't give it any attention. But if it's I think some negative posts can actually be insightful as well. If someone's saying, "Oh, this one's got this about it that I don't like," then I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. If that comment gets more likes than I expected, or if it gets 100 likes or something, I'll take that on as all right. The ratio is people are still liking the remix, but that part there, people agree that that part isn't a good thing to have in the remix. So I'll take that thought to account when I make the next remix, or but I don't try to feed into like, you know, I won't get angry about it or emotional about it. It's more about just reading the comment, either moving along or reading the comment and taking it in. So yeah, you can sort of see where, like, obviously I make house music, so sometimes all the beats are the same because it's a house beat. If you know what I mean, like it's a hat, it's a kick, it's a snare, it's a clap, and but they've all the remixes have different samples and stuff. But you can see like two or three people that will say that sounds the same because the trend of that comment is getting 10 to 20 likes on a post. They want them likes. So I won't engage with that. I'll just be like, yeah, obviously it's house music. I'm a house producer, and this is the way I see it is like, a singer has a voice. Of course, the songs are going to sound the same to an extent because it's her voice, and she has a style, or he has a style that they would like to listen to, or perform to. So I think it's the same for an artist. Is that a producing artist? Is that we have a sound. We've made an artist's career out of a sound we've made. So I think that's yeah. I think it just depends on the comment and what they're trying to get out of it. If they're trying to get out of being heard, then they're going to be heard. I'm going to read their comment. I'm going to try to reply. If I can find a way to reply that's in a positive way. If I don't reply, then I'm just going to take that on and try to do better next time. But in positive ways, of course, it's nice to read positive comments as well. But I tend to focus more on the controversial comments, if you know what I mean. If like someone's saying this is a great remix, I'll comment back, thank you. But if it's a thoughtful comment that I can see that has thought put into it, it could be funny, it could be negative, it could be controversial, then I think they're the comments that I'll mostly read into.
That's so fascinating, and I honestly didn't expect that response. I mean, that shows the difference between you and I, right? Is I'd be like, oh no, like maybe overthink those comments, but you're so right. You're creating something, and the way you're going to know if people are receiving it well is when they give you that feedback. So you actually really want it, and to your point, it needs to be thoughtful, not just trying to get likes on a comment. I
Yeah,
didn't expect that,
100%.
so thank you for that response.
That's okay. Anytime.
Now
It wasn't
there's
always like that. I used to be emotional about comments, 100%.
oh, can you talk to
At the
me? Yeah, talk to me about that.
at the start, you get butthurt. You'd be like, "Oh shit, I'm terrible now." Like, "Oh, people don't like my stuff." Of course, I can hurt you. But it's about pushing forward. And I talk to a lot of other artists and about that. Some artists would say, "Oh, I don't even read the comments," or if I read the comments, I'd feel like shit. I wouldn't read them. Some others said, "Oh, you should take that on." And I think the people that said take it on or read the comments and take it to your own respective are the more the ones that have grew a biggest a bigger presence online, where people are reading into it without emotion, sort of thing. You're reading into it as a learning perspective rather than a emotional perspective.
And how long do you reckon it took you to make that kind of transition from the emotional to the more learning perspective?
I think I'm still transitioning. Sometimes it can still affect you that you in ways you would not like to affect you, and sometimes I can find myself deleting a comment. I'm like, I don't want to read that, but then I feel really guilty of myself for deleting that comment. I'm like, I don't want to, mess with anything. So I think it was like the transition's getting better now. Like lately, I've been just reading the comments. I'm like, ah, cool. Or I might, because I like to reply to as many people as I can. because I feel like they deserve to be replied to. They just to talk to you. It's like seeing people on the street and they talk to you, but you don't talk to them. I don't want to be like that. So I try to talk as much as I can. But yeah, still, I think it's always a learning curve. I think sometimes there's been some really mean comments out there. Like there was one a few months ago. It was like, "Oh, your baby's shit and you're gonna fail in life," and people try to really get it. I think that was like the worst one I've ever seen. Um, and I didn't even delete it. But I tell you what, he got attacked online. My fans, buddy, yeah, really ripped into that poor bloke. But yeah, I think it's always a learning curve. You never know what you're gonna read.
Now you have so many people who are on your team that when they see shit like that, it's like, that's the chopping down. So that's the tall poppy stuff I'm talking about too, is like seeing someone's success and just for whatever reason, yeah, bringing up your kid. Like, why is that relevant? They just want to hurt you.
Yes, yeah, jealousy and stuff, and it doesn't really. When I read that stuff, I'm like, you're an idiot, mate. Like, I look at it, I'm like, that's just bloody ridiculous. Why would you say that about someone? If I seen that, you wouldn't say that to someone in the street. Why are you saying it online? So after that, I think that was the one. I'm like, you know what? These comments are like, there's gonna be haters now. I've got a following now, and that was only about 100,000 followers. So now I'm up to 500,000, and it's like I don't really. It's funny now because I've sort of stood my ground and still posting content. Even when I've had a week of bad reach or not as much as I had 2 months ago, I just keep posting and trying to do better. And I think it's really put me in a place of I've got a good foundation of a fan base now. And sure, still when something goes bonkers, like really viral, I get some bad comments, but I don't really care about it anymore. I just read the good ones, read the controversial ones, and read some negative ones, and sometimes comment back to it, and sometimes leave it. Just depends on the day.
Yeah, and you've got bigger fish to fry, obviously.
Yeah,
You've
they just want a reaction out of you.
yeah, and they're not going to have it. So we've danced around it, but something too, right, is you've had some really notable songs or breakthroughs or things that have just like absolutely blown up. Stumblin In, the Sound of Silence remix. Uh, essentially, like for you, what was that experience when you realized, like, yeah, because you've always been making music, you've been putting it out there, it's been well received, but was there like a day or a moment where you're like, oh, this song's popping off, and what did that feel like?
Oh, the rush of endorphins was crazy. It's unmatched. I remember I was in the club. It's really funny you say that because Stumbling In went viral on the night Jess went into labour. So it was the night of blowing up online and becoming more of an artist and a well-known artist of like I think it was up to like 6,000 likes. I'm like I said to my mate, I'm like, dude, this is blowing up because I only had like 500 followers at this point. So yeah, I was like, this is going good. He's like, yeah, shit, yeah. And then like an hour later, it's up to like 20,000. And Jess messaged me and said, hey, I think I'm going into labour. So dude, I'm like, I raced home, left the club, and it was on a Saturday night. So then I got back, we went into labour. Yeah, Jess like stayed at home for way too long, and we got to the hospital. And 20 minutes later, she popped out the baby. That was full on. And then yeah, we had to stay there for a few days. MJ got jaundice. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like basically like the really yellow skin and
Yeah.
stuff. And the positive and negative blood types are fighting each other. So they just makes you yellow, and then it just you put your baby under a blue light at the hospital in intensive care unit. It's not life threatening, but if it's not rectified, it can probably be life threatening. But yeah, so then I'm like in the hospital, and at 8 p.m. in Darwin, the males have to leave. Like anyone has to leave except the mother. So the
Wow.
mom stays, and then so I'd be like there for like 12 hours of the day, watching my shit blow up. And then like I remember there was one day I had to make a video in the hospital because I'm trying to post every day, still follow it up. And I'm back home at 8 p.m. tired as far out. If I touring has nothing on how tired I was. It was ridiculous. So then I'd get back though in the studio, punch out a few remixes. Like I make a remix pretty quick. Like sometimes it takes 2 hours, sometimes it takes 15 minutes. So I'm just pumping out these remixes. I'll be in the hospital trying to find more and shit, or just sleeping, and then just making more videos, following it up, part two, part three, part four, classic remixes, and then yeah, and then I think the next week, next minute, it's just like in a week it's like 100,000 followers. Um, the soccer team in Germany um, posted Stumbling In. That got like 10 million likes and a ridiculous amount of views. Um, and then it just kept going on. Then I dropped the Slendy On one like a week later. After we got back, it was sort of chill. Had a few days off on the weekend, and then just got right back into the remixes. Done the Slendy On one. They got like 250K, and just kept potting along. And then by the time you knew it, I was up to like here now, I suppose. And then next minute, signing a record deal after Stumbling In. After I dropped Stumbling In, while I'm in the hospital, I'm getting hit up by record labels. I thought they were spam. And so I'm like telling them to piss off, basically. Like in my head, I didn't tell them on message. I'm like, that could be real, but I'm just gonna not reply because I think it's fucking spam. So then, but then Spinninrecords reached out, and I've always wanted to be signed to Spinninrecords. I'm like, I'm gonna take a chance here. Then I started replying to everyone else. Then I had a legal battle because the bloody copyright of Stumbling In's with bloody Universal, and I just signed it with Warner Music and with Spinninrecords. Spinninrecords is a company from Warner. So Warner's the parent company of Spinninrecords. So yeah, all the rights with Warner. So then I've just had to. It was so much work, and then sign the deal, and then next minute I'm signing a deal with my manager, and then next minute it's just been non-stop.
And what's cool though is your son is like a time measurement of how long this whole thing's been going on. So you're
Literally.
he serves as that. That is freaky. I don't know whether you're into signs or whatever. That is such a cool story, Cyril. That's
Yeah, I
insane.
love it. It was a crazy time. It was mayhem, and then I had to go back to work. Oh, I just hit myself. Sorry, I had to go back to work a week later after Stumbling In dropped because I had a weekend off and a week and a half off, but like I only had a week of pay come in without working, so I went back to work, and I've got just a newborn baby at home. I'm starting this artist career. I'm having to work, so I'm doing like, and I was also managing a pub, and this is all going on till about 3 weeks ago when I quit my job and become solely an artist. So it's just been absolutely nuts. I say that it's a fun road, and it is a bloody fun road. I've had so much fun so far, like doing this stuff. Bloody, being on a plane, meeting people, playing on stages and stuff. I haven't actually played on many stages yet, to be honest. I've got stuff coming up, but it's been more like promo and talking and stuff, which is really fun. But all this stuff is happening, but it's just been before that. You know, three prior to 3 weeks ago, bloody hell, it was like doing five things at once, trying to make music, do content, sign deals, meetings, radio, work on the pub, work on the club, DJ on weekends, be up till 6 a.m. in the morning counting tills and stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah, crazy is such a great word for it. Good on you. All right, what do I need to ask you that I'm going to kick myself later? Okay, so you go on tour, you're back now, and there's some things in the pipeline sort of this year. We know we're going to New Zealand, we're going to Europe. In terms of songs like that you're going to drop remixes, is it always that you put it on your socials first and garner a reaction and then put it out?
Yeah, it's like my archive file. I find TikTok and Insta to be like an archive file, but instead of it just sitting there, I can see the ratio and reactions to what that remix could do on a streaming platform. And it sort of shows record labels as well. So, like with this Sound of Silence, the record label didn't want me to release anything till mid-year because Someone In's doing so well. So that was sweet. We're like, okay, no worries. But then I put that on YouTube and SoundCloud, which I'm allowed to do because I'm not making money off that. I'm just putting it out there for the world to sort of adjust to and see how to go on a platform as a full thing. And people stole it, so we had to get it out. So sometime, like it stole it, put it on Spotify. It went to number one in Germany on iTunes charts, like in a day. So record labels just bloody scrambled, like we've got to get this out, we've got to get this done, this done, this done. So out of trying to do all my jobs, I've then got another job of trying to get all the masters done, all the bloody, all this conversations of when it's going to drop, how we're doing the promo. Dude.
You're like, I flew too close to the sun. I made an absolute banger. So now it's the official Sound of Silence remix. Like I mentioned, it was in Forbes just the other day. They were writing
That's
about you.
crazy. I can't believe I'm in bloody Forbes.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I found out, the other day, like they put it in the we've got like a group chat with the managers and stuff. They put it in there. I'm like, what the bloody hell? I'm in Forbes. That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
that was
like
nuts.
the front of the stanza or paragraph. It's like Cyril, Australia made this remix, and like Disturbed themselves are like, holy, they're super relevant, always have been, but now they're just like hitting a whole new area. So that's
Yeah.
freaking
And
cool.
they're so nice. I met them on last Sunday. They are beautiful people. I love Disturbed.
Are they in Australia?
Yeah, they were in Australia. I think they're wrapping up. I think they got one more show maybe in Melbourne or Sydney. But they done a headline like ticketed show in Adelaide, and then they had some festivals to play in Sydney and Melbourne. So I went down and met them on Sunday, last Sunday. Yeah, in Adelaide, and I was like backstage with them, just having a couple of drinks and stuff, and yeah, talking about everything. And yeah, they're funny. They're bloody awesome. I really enjoy their company, and yeah, had a couple of glasses of champagne, and then I jumped on a plane, came back to Darwin, got off Darwin flight, had a message saying, "Hey, you're going to Perth in like 8 hours." So then I jumped in my jammies, had a quick bloody shower, had a little sleep, jumped on a plane, went to Perth, and met Susie Quattro. She was absolutely brilliant, and they're just so. They're really good performers. They've been in the game for so long, but they just really know how to put on a performance, and it was so inspiring to see what they can do. Still after 20 years of 20, 30, 40 years being in the game. Like,
And that's
insane.
the aspiration, right? Like you've been doing this for 15 years, but you're at the start of, knock on wood, a
That's
bloody
right.
long career. So you
And
see that.
yeah, and you look at them like they're sort of the same. Most artists have been curating the sound or working out how to do that instrument well enough to be in a popular band or a popular act. So pretty much I don't think there's many artists out there. There's a few, but the ratio of artists to blow up straight away to the ratio of artists blowing up 10 years later is there's a lot more, having to learn and curate stuff, and yeah, it's insane.
Oh, wow. Okay, what haven't I asked? Or what's a story that you're like, oh, this is a real goodie that we haven't talked about that should be on the record?
Far out. I don't even know, to be honest. I can remember the first time I went on. I wanted to go on stage, and how heartbroken I was when I couldn't go on stage. I was like 10 years old, and I wanted to play the guitar with this band. There was like 50 people there. I was like, this is a fucking festival, and I couldn't go on stage, so I bawled my eyes out. I don't know why I thought of that story. I don't
Wait,
know.
why couldn't you go on stage?
Oh, because they didn't put me up. They're like, oh, we're thinking about it, but we didn't do it. Like, sorry about that. I was like, oh, righto, bastards.
That came to mind for some reason though, didn't it?
I
You
don't
just
know.
wanted
Yeah, I
to
just
tell
thought.
someone.
Yeah, I never told him on that, but I was pissed off. I was a pissed off 10 years ago. 10 years old. Yeah,
Oh,
far
that's
out.
funny. Yeah, what, 17 years ago and you still think
Yeah, that's
about it?
insane. Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. I was just trying to think of a story. I'm thinking about stories that are a little bit illegal, but I can't really say any of them. And I don't know. I've got some funny stories, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of a story that's relevant.
It is so exciting to be talking to you right now in this moment in time because, like you said, you're only 3 weeks into doing this full time and you've already accomplished like incredible feats while, to your point, you were doing 5 different jobs at once. So to be able to talk to you now on the start of like this epic freaking journey, just
Mm.
thank you. It's a real gift for me. And that's why I'm like, oh, I just want to ask you everything there is, but super impressed and just stoked that you're making the time. And that is major testament to the personality you have because, like you said, you've got a kid, you're trying to put new stuff out, you're doing all these things, and you still take the time to talk to me. Like, that's going to go so far.
No, I really appreciate your time, to be honest with you. I wanted to do a podcast for a while, and yeah, I really appreciate you having me on.
Okay, sign off question. This is going to be interesting. If you had to listen to just one artist for the rest of your life, who's it going to be?
I have no idea. You know, the thing is about artists is that I could say right now, I could be like, Fred again. I'd listen to Fred again my whole life for the rest. Because, I've been into Fred again lately. But in 6 months, that's going to be completely different. If you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure I'm still going to love Fred again in 6 months. But there'll be a new hotshot, new guy out there or new girl out there that's just absolutely fucking smashing it. And I'll be like, I want to listen to that person for a bit. So it's really hard. It's like, damn. Like, I'd probably have to choose someone like in the 70s or 80s. Like someone that's like, just like someone that I've never got sick and tired of. You know who I really love is Shannon Knoll, honestly. I know that's silly.
Why?
Because it's like that was the first concert I went on to when I was 5 years old. He just lost Australian Idol, but he came out to. So he's where I'm from called Uabalong. That's the place I'm from.
Yeah.
And about 45 minutes out of Uabalong, there's Condobolin. So that's where Shannon Knoll grew up. And I met his brothers and stuff. They used to come out to the pub. So the reason I'm pretty good at guitar is because every day after school, when Dad wasn't out camping for work, or on the weekends, I'd be down at the pub with a couple of guitarists and singers, and I'd play the guitar, like 14, 15 years old, sitting down there, sneaking a quick, beer, and playing the guitar, playing a bit of country music, like, Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, all the old sort of classics, a bit of Slim Dusty and stuff. But yeah, so Damien Knoll, Damien? Far out. I really hope I didn't get that wrong. But yeah, he used to come out in his Harley on his motorbike and come out and play guitar as well.
So cool.
And yeah, it was sick. But Shannon never came out. He was, too busy, conquering Australia, being the number one idol in my eyes. And I remember I was 5 years old. I was living in Lake Angelico, which is like 20 minutes from Uabalong. Sort of mum and dad split up, and yeah, it was like 5 years old. And I was watching Australian Idol, and Mum came home and said, "Oh mate, I got you something." I'm like, "What'd you get me?" And she pulled out the ticket, and I fucking bawled my eyes out. I was like, "Oh my god, bloody Shannon Knoll ticket!" I was like, I nearly fainted. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to see the biggest rock star of this date," and like he was my idol, 100%. So, anyways, yeah, we went over to Condobolin, watched his concert. There was about 15 singers before him, and then he played 4 songs and jumped off stage. But I tell you what, I love that bloke, and I've watched him live about 6 times now. And whenever I can't find something to play, I always turn back to the old Knowlesy albums from when I was at 2007.
Cyril, another epic story, which is why I'm scared to finish, but I have to, because other lucky podcasters are going to get the chance to hear them from you, or all the hundreds of radio shows it seems like you're doing. So I'm going to call it here on this episode of Tall Poppy Talk, but just so enthusiastically thank you, because you're such a cool person and like smashing it.
Thanks, Grace. I really appreciate your time, mate. I really enjoyed this. This was fun.
Thank you so much for listening to Tall Poppy Talk. We'll see you next time. Feel free to check us out on socials, YouTube, and the website. Thanks for today's guest, and we'll see you all next time. Take care. Be kind.